Welcome to the Great Detectives of Old Time Radio. From Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham. In a moment, we're going to bring you this week's episode of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. But first, I want to encourage you, if you're enjoying the podcast, please follow us using your favorite podcast software. And as you're making your travel plans, remember JohnnyDollarAir.com first. JohnnyDollarAir.com is our Priceline affiliate link, so you get to go through Priceline.com, but part of your purchase price benefits the Great Detectives of Old Time Radio at no additional cost to you. Remember, that's JohnnyDollarAir.com. Now, from February 16th, 1958, here is the Time and Tide Matter.
From Hollywood, it's time now for
Johnny Dollar.
Pat McCracken, Universal Adjustment Bureau, Johnny.
Hi, Pat. What's new?
At the moment, Edward J. Rollins III.
Oh, what about him?
One of our companies has a hefty policy on his life, and he sent word he wanted to change his beneficiary, then he disappeared.
And you want me to go looking for him?
That's the general idea.
Oh, look, Pat, you could be wasting dough sending me. Chances are he'll pop up again by himself.
Oh, yes, I know. Of course, it involves a little trip to the Caribbean, but if you're not interested...
The Caribbean? I'll be right over.
Bob Bailey in the exciting adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
And now, Act One of yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Expense account submitted by Special Investigator Johnny Dollar to the Universal Adjustment Bureau, Hartford, Connecticut. Following is an account of expenses incurred during my investigation of the Time and Tide matter. Expense account item one, $1.20 cab fare from my apartment to the offices of Universal Adjustment Bureau and Pat McCracken.
Now, the mention of the Caribbean did the trick. Sit down.
Yeah, thanks. Now, what's the deal?
Well, about 6 months ago, Johnny, Ed Rollins decided to marry a girl named Virginia Blake. And he took out a large policy on himself from one of our companies, naming her as beneficiary. Last week, he apparently changed his mind.
Oh?
Called from Nassau, said he wanted to remove Virginia Blake as beneficiary, and he was supposed to come to Miami to sign the papers. We had an agent waiting there for him. But he didn't show.
What was he doing in Nassau?
He had his cabin cruiser down there with 3 of his friends. Among them, Virginia Blake.
Did you check Nassau to see if he's still there?
Oh, we checked. His boat is gone. Now, the trail just starts in Nassau, Johnny. Where it'll lead is anybody's guess.
Expense account item two, $140 even, air transportation and incidentals to Nassau in the Bahamas. There I found a man who remembered fueling up Rollins' boat a few days before. He'd heard them talking about working their way down through the Bahamas, skin diving, and then cutting over to Jamaica. They'd mentioned one place in particular, Crooked Island. Item 3, $50, transportation via chartered seaplane to Crooked Island. I spotted Rollins' cruiser in one of the coves, and the pilot set me down nearby. A dinghy with an outboard motor came over from the boat. It was Ed Rollins.
You say you're an insurance investigator, Dollar?
Yeah, that's right, Mr. Rollins.
Well, what are you doing here?
Well, I came to see if you were okay.
Me? Well, why shouldn't I be?
You were supposed to meet an agent from the company in Miami last week. You didn't show up.
Oh, well, I changed my mind. You mean you came all the way down here because I didn't show up in Miami?
Well, when a man with a hefty policy on his life disappears, the insurance company starts worrying.
So it seems.
Hey, mind slowing down a bit? I'd like to talk to you before we get on board.
Sure. Now, what's on your mind?
As I understand it, you took out a policy about 6 months ago and named a Virginia Blake as beneficiary.
Yes, that's right. We're going to be married.
Then a week ago, you apparently changed your mind.
Well, I decided to think it over some more. That's why I brought the boat down here.
What's the trouble?
Oh, it's just... Well, I might as well tell you. I began to suspect Virginia's been two-timing me.
Oh? With whom?
That I don't know.
Have you asked her about it?
No, not yet.
Why not?
Because I'm afraid she might tell me the truth. Maybe I don't really want to hear it.
Oh, I see.
Look, Mr. Dollar, we're going to do a little more skin diving here in the cove this afternoon and then shove off for Jamaica around dark. Why not come along? You can catch a plane back to the States from there.
Okay. Who all's on board your boat?
Let's see. Virginia, you know about. Then there's Bill Winslow.
Winslow?
Yes, kind of a beachcomber at heart. I bring him along mainly to handle the boat. He's real good at it.
Anybody else?
Oh, Tony Atherton. A worthless sort of guy, but rather amusing company once in a while. Besides, he introduced me to Virginia, so I owe him something for that. I guess.
Well, look, you mind introducing me as just an old friend of yours?
Yes, that's just what I had in mind. Oh, say, there they are waiting for us on deck.
Bill Winslow was tall, lanky, blonde crew cut, deep tan. The kind who looked at home on a boat. Tony Atherton, on the other hand, was the kind who was at home nowhere. Or maybe anywhere, as long as he had a drink in his hand. And Virginia, well, one look at her and you forgot where home was. Rollins and Bill Winslow strapped on aqualongs and went over the side to do some skin diving. Tony Atherton, Virginia, and I sat around on deck for a while. I noticed that Virginia didn't seem to be at ease. Atherton noticed it, too.
Use a drink, Virginia?
No, thanks.
What's the matter, darling? You bored?
No.
You see, darling, Virginia didn't really want to come on this trip, did you, dear?
Just skip it, Tony, will you? Seems like Ed and Bill have been underwater a long while.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. How long did they usually...
Don't worry. Ed likes to live dangerously. Besides, he's got Bill Winslow, all-American boy, to take care of.
Will you lay off it, Tony?
Hey, there they are. Hey, wait a minute. Looks like Rollins is in trouble.
Get him on board!
Here.
Hey, quick.
Get up over here.
Watch his face, please. Easy. The face plate. Get it off. You okay, Rollins?
Yes, I guess so.
What happened, Ed?
Oh, something went wrong with his air supply. Yeah. Sprang a leak. Thanks, Bill. If it hadn't been for you... Oh, skip it. Just lucky I was close to you.
Look at this rubber tubing. It's frayed through.
Yeah, I guess I must have scraped it against some coral. Sure.
Yeah, that's probably it.
Act two of yours truly, Johnny Dollar, in a moment.
And now for another episode in the life of Sergeant Donald Bellweather, my husband. Hi, honey. Did you fix the windshield wipers?
I sure did, Reba. How's that?
Oh, you fixed them. Good for you, Donald.
Thank you, my dear. Well, that's that. Now, if it rains, we're prepared for it, huh? I feel better now.
Oh, me too. A driver has to see the danger if he expects to avoid it.
That's right. And also keep the back and side windows clear in rain and snowy weather.
That's right. Oh, how about the horn?
The horn?
The horn doesn't work, Sergeant. Aren't you going to fix it?
No, I don't think so. Frankly, Reba, I hate horns. Whenever there's a traffic jam, the first thing some guys do is blow their horn.
Which does absolutely no good.
Of course not. All it does is jar everyone's nerves. No, I don't think I'll fix the horn.
Oh, but now wait a minute, Don. Look, supposing we're driving along and suddenly we see a youngster on his bicycle headed right out into the street. Sounding that horn will warn him and possibly avoid a tragic accident.
Yes, that's true, but...
Or supposing we're driving on the highway and just as we're about to pass a car, that car decides to pull out into our lane and pass the car ahead of him. He obviously doesn't see us, and he won't hear us shout. But one little beep on that horn and he'll automatically scoot back and avoid a collision.
Reba, you've convinced me. Even though it can be a nuisance, the automobile horn is a necessity.
Then you'll repair it?
Immediately.
Oh, that's my Donald. That's my doll.
And now, Act two of yours truly, Johnny Dollar, and the Time and Tide Matter.
Ed Rollins seemed to regard his close shave underwater as an accident, so I decided to play it that way. But I wasn't convinced. Somebody could have tampered with his air hose. We got underway around dark and headed for Jamaica. About 10, I went up on deck for a cigarette. It was a dark night, but from the stern I could see two figures up in the cockpit. One was Virginia. The other at the wheel, I figured, was Ed Rollins. There was a long kiss. Then they lit cigarettes. In the light from the match, I could see it wasn't Ed Rollins at all. It was Bill Winslow.
Dollar? That you?
Ed Rollins. I guess he'd just come topside. But I didn't know if he'd seen what I'd just seen. If he had, he gave no sign of it.
Johnny. You know that stuff I was telling you about? Maybe cutting Virginia out as beneficiary?
Yeah, what about it, Ed?
I think you better forget it. I've decided to go ahead and marry her. Well, I don't think I could get along without her.
Oh, I see. Look, Rollins, it's probably none of my business, but there's something I feel...
There's Virginia now up in the cockpit with Bill.
Yeah, that's right.
I thought she was below. Well, she must be doing some navigating.
Yeah.
Virginia, honey, come on back.
Oh, okay, Ed.
Watch your footing. We're rolling a little.
Yeah, pretty heavy swell.
How's Bill getting along up there?
Okay, why?
It's about time I relieved him at the wheel.
I'll take over if you like.
Oh, thanks, Johnny. But I enjoy handling the boat at night. Virginia, honey, you look sort of tired. Maybe you ought to turn in.
I will as soon as I finish my cigarette.
Well, I'll take over now.
Enjoying the cruise, Mr. Dollar?
Sure. How about you?
Why not?
According to Tony Atherton, you didn't want to make this trip.
Tony's very good at remarks like that.
Oh, I thought you and he were old friends.
Let's just say I've known him a long time.
How you doing, Dollar?
Fine, Winslow. How's the boat doing?
On course. We should reach Jamaica tomorrow night. Virginia.
I think I'll go below now. I'll see you in the morning.
Good night.
Night, Virginia. Well, you seem pretty much at home aboard a boat, Winslow.
It's where I belong.
You and Rollins seem to do all the boat handling. How about Atherton? He ever give you a hand?
No, he's just the passenger type.
Well, how about Virginia? Does she handle a boat?
She can handle anything.
Oh.
She's a nice girl, Mr. Dollar. She deserves the best.
Maybe that's what Rollins can give her.
Maybe.
You don't sound convinced.
Good night, Dollar.
When we reached Jamaica the next night, I decided to do some checking. I went ashore and called Pat McCracken back in the States, asked him to find out what he could about any of them. He was to call me at a restaurant where we were having dinner. Winslow went back to the boat right after the meal, and Atherton drifted out to inspect a few bars. Rollins, Virginia, and I stayed at the table over coffee, but Virginia was restless and edgy. Finally, she told Rollins she wanted to talk to him. They went out on the terrace. And just then my call from the States came through.
Johnny, Pat McCracken.
Hi. Did you find out anything?
Yeah. Ran a check on Virginia Blake. I found out she's apparently been paying off for something.
What do you mean?
She's been issuing checks regularly, a couple of $100 apiece, and always to the same guy.
You know his name?
Yeah. Tony Atherton.
I hung up and went out to the terrace, but Rollins and Virginia were gone. I started looking for Tony Atherton. I tried half a dozen bars with no luck. It was after 1 in the morning when I got back to the boat. Atherton was in his bunk. I woke him up.
Oh, what do you want, Dollar? Don't you realize what time it is?
Yeah, I want to know why you've been blackmailing Virginia.
Wait a minute. It's a pretty ugly world.
You're so right. Now look, Atherton.
Hello? Anybody aboard?
Yeah. Who is it?
Inspector Hastings. Jamaica Police. Is this Mr. Edwin Rollins' boat?
Yes, that's right.
I'm afraid I have some bad news for you. Mr. Rollins has been slugged and robbed.
What? Good Lord. Was he hurt bad?
I'm afraid so. Touch and go whether or not he'll live.
Act 3 of yours truly, Johnny Dollar, in a moment.
And now for another episode in the life of Sergeant Donald Bellweather, my husband.
Reba!
What is it, Donald?
Confounded Reba, I can't find the fountain pen. I've looked all through this desk.
Here it is, dear.
Here it is.
You must have used it as a marker when you were reading this book. Let's see, this great literary classic, Six-Gun Showdown at Powder River Gulch.
All right, never mind about my reading habits. Just look at the coverage we're going to get with this new auto accident policy.
Let's see. Yes, collision.
$50 deductible.
Fire, theft, public liability, property damage, medical benefits. In other words, we have complete coverage.
That's right. Of course, it's going to cost us money. I'm sending the company a check right now. Gee, it's too bad we don't live in Rhode Island.
Rhode Island? Why?
Oh, because then our rates would be lower. Rhode Island has less accidents per capita than any other state.
Oh. Well, which state has the highest?
Let me see. Here it is, Nevada. No, by golly, Nevada's second highest. Alaska has the most.
Really? I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just too bad we can't eliminate traffic accidents completely. Not only would it save life and limb, but it'd be a lot less strain on the pocketbook.
Yeah, that's for sure. These automobile accident policies get more expensive every year, just because there's so many costly accidents.
Well, I'm glad we've got some good insurance coverage, Donald, but just remember one thing.
Oh, what's that, honey?
Well, some auto accidents ruin a fender, and some ruin a family.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
But as far as I'm concerned, I don't want any of your old insurance money. I want you here at home, safe and sound. You'll always drive carefully, won't you?
Yes, I will, dear.
Oh, that's my Donald. That's my doll.
And now, Act 3 of yours truly, Johnny Dollar, and the Time and Tide Matter.
Police Inspector Hastings led me down the pier and around the corner of a warehouse about 100 yards from the boat.
This is where one of my men discovered Rollins, Mr. Dollar.
He'd been slugged, huh?
With a length of pipe we found nearby. No fingerprints on it, though. Rollins is in the hospital in a coma. Apparently he hasn't more than a 50-50 chance.
You said something about robbery, Inspector.
His wallet and valuables are gone. I'm afraid we've had quite a bit of that sort of thing around the waterfront lately.
Robbery, huh? Maybe. Maybe not. I poked around the pier for a while, but didn't turn up a thing. It was about 7 in the morning when I finally got back to the boat in Atherton's stateroom.
I told Virginia what happened, Dollar. She went to the hospital immediately.
Okay, I can talk to her later, Atherton. I still want to know why you've been blackmailing her.
Oh, look, you've got proof, Dollar.
Virginia's been issuing checks to you pretty regularly.
Look, what's wrong with that? She and I are old friends. I've had bad luck with some of my investments. She's been kind enough to help me out. Now, look, Dollar, if you're trying to tie me in with what happened to Rollins, you're just wasting time.
Am I?
Of course you are. You stop this nonsense, I can probably help you.
Oh?
Look, take a look out this porthole. Go on. What do you see? Huh?
A stretch of pier? A warehouse?
Exactly.
Well, what about it?
Well, just as I was turning in last night, I heard footsteps on the pier. I looked out the porthole. Somebody was walking along it. As he turned the corner, I could see who he was by the warehouse light. It was Ed Rollins.
Oh?
A moment later, somebody stepped out of the shadows and followed him around the corner. Dollar, that was Bill Winslow.
I tell you, I'm not the one who slugged Ed Rollins.
But you admit taking a walk last night late.
But sure. So what?
All right, where'd you go?
Oh, along the waterfront. I don't remember just where, and I don't remember what time it was.
Along that pier out there, around that warehouse, maybe.
Maybe. Look, I wasn't paying much attention where I was going, but I didn't see Rollins at all. What reason would I have to do a thing like that to him?
I could maybe think of one.
Like what?
Like you in Virginia.
Me? Oh, now, just a minute. That has nothing to do with it.
I think it has, Winslow.
Get this straight, Dollar. I didn't slug Rollins.
I kept hammering away at him, but I couldn't get anywhere. Finally, I left him and went up on deck. Virginia had just come back from the hospital.
He's still unconscious, Johnny. They say they don't know whether he'll make it.
Virginia, what happened last night? When I got through with my phone call at the restaurant, you and Rollins had left.
Yes. We walked around town a while talking. Then Ed said he had something to take care of, so he sent me back to the boat in a cab. I came back here and went to bed. I didn't know what had happened until Tony Atherton told me this morning.
Mind telling me what you and Rollins were talking about last night?
He told me about the doubts he'd been having about me. That he realized he still wanted to marry me.
Oh?
And I told him there were a couple of things he should know about me first.
Like Bill Winslow, for instance?
Not that it matters now, Johnny, but that was a goodbye kiss.
Oh.
A couple of months ago, I became very attracted to Bill, but it was no good. He gives Bill a boat or a beach, but his thinking doesn't go much beyond that. And I began to realize that what I really wanted was Ed.
What was his reaction when you told him about Winslow?
Well, he's a pretty wonderful guy, Johnny. That's why if anything happens, he doesn't pull through, I don't know what I'd do.
And what was the other thing you told him last night?
That Tony Atherton had been blackmailing me.
It figured.
You see, I roomed with a girl once I thought was okay, but she wasn't. Some stolen things were found in our apartment. I thought they were hers. I couldn't prove I wasn't involved.
You did time for it?
Yes. I wish I'd told Ed right at the start.
Well, at least you did tell him last night.
Johnny, who could have done this to Ed? You don't think it could have been Bill Winslow?
Oh, what I think doesn't matter, Virginia. It's what I can prove that counts. And right now, that's nothing. I walked off the boat and along the waterfront. There was a swirl in the channel. The tide was going out. It was almost low. I glanced over at Rollins' boat. It was resting lower against the pier now. Suddenly, a couple of ideas started pecking away at me. I went back aboard the boat and found a tide table. According to my watch and the table, it was low tide. Then I looked up the time of the previous low. Yeah. I headed for Tony Atherton's stateroom.
All right. So Virginia was buying a little silence from me about her past. So what?
When Virginia told Rollins you'd been blackmailing her, he probably didn't like it much. He told her he had some business to take care of. It could have been with you.
Now, look.
So he went out looking for you around the town. He found you.
Now, wait a minute.
What'd he do? Threatened to have you prosecuted? Was that it? So you followed him down to the waterfront, sneaked up behind him and slugged him.
No.
You figured you'd killed him. But even if you hadn't, you were safe because he couldn't have seen who slugged him.
Look, Dolly, you're talking nonsense. Told you I saw Bill Winslow following Rollins. I saw it right through this porthole.
And that's where you hung yourself.
What?
Take a look out that porthole. What do you see?
What?
Yeah. The pilings of the pier. It's low tide.
Well, so what?
And it was low tide at the time of the attack. You couldn't have seen over the top of the pier then. You were lying.
Oh, now look, I tell you, I won't try it. Get away from me!
You know, it's funny, Atherton. Shakespeare was more right than he knew. There is a tide in the affairs of men, which sometimes leads to fortune. In your case, brother, you missed. Expense account total, including transportation and incidentals home, $403.50. Remarks? Tony Atherton's in jail where he belongs. Bill Winslow is somewhere in a boat where he belongs. Ed Rollins pulled through. He and Virginia will get married next month. Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Now, here's our star to tell you about next week's story.
Next week, the plot revolves around Ong's hat. And if you want to know what that means, well, join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, originates in Hollywood and is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone. Today's story was written by Robert Wright. Heard in our cast were Virginia Gregg, Larry Dobkin, Herb Ellis, Tony Barrett, Frank Nelson, and Ben Wright. Be sure to join us next week, same time and station, for another exciting story of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. This is Dan Cubberly speaking.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, has been a presentation of the United States Armed Forces Radio and Television Service.
Welcome back. Well, we got a nice story in an exotic location, which wouldn't have been hard for the writer of Dangerous Assignment, Robert Wright, to come up with. And we were also given a fair number of suspects, and kind of a typical Robert Wright ending, and I found it pretty entertaining. Also, we got a double dose of Donald Bellweather. which is kind of unique, so what's not to like? Alright, well now we turn to listener comments and feedback. And we received a lot of positive comments regarding the Price of Fame matter. We start over on Spotify, where Bernard writes, I always stop to listen to this episode when it pops up. And Harrison said, an episode with Virginia Gregg, Howard McNear, and Vincent Price, so much fun. And Vicky just says, wonderful episode. Well, thanks so much. Then, over on Instagram, Brains Benton writes, what a charming episode. I had no idea that Vincent Price guest starred on Johnny Dollar. Bob Bailey and Price had such good chemistry. What a fun way to use Price's well-known love for culture in a great adventure with Johnny Dollar. Loved it. Well, thanks so much. Greg H. 64 writes, the Saint needs help, so he engages Johnny Dollar. Great episode. Well, thanks so much, Greg. And I liked the connection. Actually, the very first time we played the Price of Fame matter, I worked the schedule so that we had the Saint and Johnny Dollar playing at the same time. And then S. Wallace 69 writes, I love this. And then over on YouTube, Jeffrey writes, wow, what a great episode. My hero and beloved guest star Vincent Price in the cast. Loved it. Thanks so much. And I will say that in general, Vincent Price is a really good guest star. I loved him, of course, in Batman as Egghead. And we did last year our summer of Batman villains and old-time radio, so I got to watch an Egghead serial, and he was great in that. And I was also doing supplemental reviews on the website, and I reviewed an episode of the Snoop Sisters in which he appeared. And he was just fantastic as a guest star, kind of playing an over-the-top version of himself. Just such an entertaining personality. And in the same vein, over on the site called X, Daniel says, great episode, it makes me want to re-listen to Vincent in The Saint. And then we have an email here, and Victor writes, hello from the road. This week we are near St. Louis from the Lamire Art Fair. My wife, Jennifer, is insectworks.com. I might be misrecalling, but I think there might have been a donation a while back where I just saw that name and didn't know who it was from, so thanks. That said, the reason I'm writing is I spend every waking moment listening to podcasts. Almost all of them are some flavor of your greatdetectives.net offering. What motivated me to write today is that I know the surveys show that the Bob Bailey version of Johnny Dollar is everyone's favorite. But in my opinion, from a writing perspective, I think Night Beat and Broadway is My Beat are at the top of the list. But let's not forget Dragnet and all of Jack Webb and the spin-off TV that he inspired. When we are not on the road, we live in Corvallis, Oregon. So this is a shout out from a Sister 8. We transit your state several times a year on I-84. All the best, Victor. Well, thank you so much, Victor. And I-84 is definitely something we're quite familiar with, at least the few miles of it in the Treasure Valley. Glad to hear from you, and actually, we were in your state just recently. This is actually the first episode I'm recording after we got back from our trip, which was to Oregon. And most of the trip was down I-84. We traveled over to Rockaway Beach, which in theory you could drive straight through in about 9 hours, but in my opinion, not a great idea with a 3-year-old, so we broke up the trip into a couple of days both ways, and really just some very beautiful country along I-84, and then when you got to the highway, and we went to Rockaway Beach to ride the Oregon Scenic Railway. And there were 2 reasons for this. One, my son's really into railroads right now, and riding a real train was a big thrill for him. And scenic railways were also something my father-in-law really appreciated. He loved the railroad in Hocking Hills. So it was kind of a way to remember him as well. And we also got to see the ocean. And one of the things we learned on the railway is that Rockaway Beach used to be the big vacation destination on the Oregon coast. And people would come in by rail. And as families, they would go on vacation starting on the weekend. And then on Sunday night, all of the men would leave and go back to work in Portland and then return on the Friday train. And all the families came down to wait for what they called the daddy train. And then generally at the end of the weekend, the whole family would go back to Portland. But then with cars, other locations surpassed Rockaway Beach. But still, a really nice country. It was great to be able to see the ocean, which I don't get to see a whole lot of living here in Idaho. I do love the Scenic Railroad experience because every time I've been on one of these trains, they're always done with so much love. And it's just a great way to experience history. So if you've got one near you, I can't recommend it enough. And if you are planning to go to Portland during the summer, they are less than a 2-hour drive, and like I said, it's a beautiful drive from Portland to Rockaway Beach, and they'll either be running the diesel, or they also do have a steam engine, which we got to ride, and that was fun. But if not going to Portland, maybe there's one near you. I was actually surprised to find there's another railway. I thought the Oregon Scenic Railroad was the closest one, but there's actually another one in Sumter, Oregon. But and they're only 2 hours away, but their schedule's a little less regular. So hopefully we can go and do that sometime in the future. But again, that was the big highlight of my trip. And might be a worthwhile thing, if it sounds of interest to you, to do this summer as well. All right, well, now it's time to thank our Patreon supporter of the day, and I want to go ahead and thank Christine, Patreon supporter since November 2023, currently supporting the podcast at the Shamus level of $4 or more per month. Thank you so much for your support, Christine. And that will do it for today. If you're enjoying the podcast, please follow us using your favorite podcast software. And if you're enjoying the podcast on YouTube, be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and mark the notification bell. We will be back next Friday with another episode of yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Next Thursday, we'll get started with an adaptation of The Moonstone. Join us back here tomorrow for Dragnet, where...
It was on Commercial Street that you were held up?
That's right, Commercial, right near Alameda, almost to the corner. Where they're tearing those buildings down. Man flagged me down. Looked like his car was stalled.
Yes, sir.
Always make it a habit to stop when I see somebody in trouble. I know how it is that time of the morning. No gas stations open. Figured maybe the fellow needed a shove or something.
So you stopped to give him a hand, is that right?
That's what I had in mind. I'd no more stop the car, and he came over, he pointed a gun at me and told me to get out.
What'd you do?
Well, I asked the fellow, what did he want? I told him I didn't have any money. Told him I was on my way into work.
What'd he say to that?
Didn't say anything. He just opened the car door, grabbed me by the arm, and pulled me out. I wasn't prepared for it, and I kind of fell out onto the street.
Yeah.
I still didn't know what he was after. Thought at first he might have been crazy. He was going to kill me.
Well, why'd you think he was going to kill you? Did he threaten you?
No, but the gun and all, and the way he pulled me out of the car, I just couldn't make it out.
I see. Did you go on, please?
Well, he took my wallet from me. All the money I had, $14. And then he said, don't bother to get up and stay right there for 5 minutes after I leave. And then he bent down and he hit me in the face.
What'd he hit you with?
With his fist. Hit me right here in the mouth. You can see the cut right inside my lip here.
Yeah.
You see, it bled pretty heavy.
Yeah, it's a nasty cut.
I hope you'll be with us then. In the meantime, send your comments to box13@greatdetectives.net. Follow us on Twitter at Radio Detectives, and check us out on Instagram, instagram.com/greatdetectives. From Boise, Idaho, this is your host, Adam Graham, signing off.